Hello again. I thought I would do another pastoral visit. So imagine me, I'm turning up on your doorstep and I'm ringing your doorbell or knocking on your front door and I'm saying those words once again. Is it convenient? Can I come in? And so you always graciously say, of course, come in. You're very welcome. So here I am again, and I thought I'd come and visit you. So it's been wonderful to have so many phone calls from you asking me if I'm okay, and it's been wonderful to have so many emails, and that's made all the difference. And I've tried to do my best to phone as many of you as possible, and those of you that I have not yet phoned, stand by, because in the weeks to come the chances are you're going to hear from me as I do my very best to make sure that we're all staying connected to one another. And so yesterday the staff team here, they were able to talk and see one another as I set up our first conference meeting online. It's amazing what you can do if you put your mind to it, isn't it? And I'm certainly learning a lot of new skills. So we were able to discuss some of the things in the circuit together and also see one another. And it does make such a difference if you can see one another. And so when we started our meeting, I thought I would share just a few verses from the book of James, which just seemed to sum up really what was happening in our world today and the opportunities that we're having. So I'm going to share those with you right now. It won't take very long. So reading from the book of James, chapter 1, beginning at verse 2. Dear brothers and sisters, whenever trouble comes your way, let it be an opportunity for joy. For when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be strong in character and ready for anything. So I'm wondering if we feel ready for anything quite yet. Possibly not. And whether this does feel a little bit like an endurance test. So I wonder, how are you keeping yourself busy? What are the things that you're doing that enable the day to pass and you find joy in that day? Some of you have shared the things that you're doing, and like me, you're learning new skills very quickly and you're getting to grips with the online world, staying in touch with your family and your friends, and indeed able to watch all sorts of things, live streaming of services from churches on Sundays, videos like these, listening to all the wonderful singing that people are doing. And indeed my own daughter Becky is live streaming regularly on Facebook, and then she's putting some of those onto her YouTube channel, which is linked to mine. So again, people are enjoying the opportunity to hear and see her singing some of her favourite pieces. And I know for sure it's helping her, of course, as she comes to terms with being away from her husband for such a long time and for an unknown period of time. So probably like me, you're trying out all sorts of things, and certainly here in our household, baking is featuring quite highly on the agenda. I'm not sure that's going to be good for the figure. Maybe we'll have to do some of that running around the garden like I've seen people doing. I'm not sure I'll be running a marathon, but I may indeed get my trainers on and do a few laps around the garden, especially when the weather gets nice again, just to keep those calories off. But yes, we've had cakes and buns and crumble, and I think Paul's threatening to make his own bread, so we'll look forward to that. We've certainly done quite a bit of gardening, especially last week when we had that beautiful weather. and I love a bit of gardening, and it's so good for you. So I'm lucky, and I know not every one of you will have a garden or such a large garden, or may not even be able to get out into the garden, and I appreciate that can feel very difficult. But hopefully you're able to at least look out of the window and see something that brings you joy. And certainly seeing all the daffodils swaying in the breeze brings me a lot of joy. Watching the newborn lambs in the field at the back of our garden, it's just been fabulous. I've so enjoyed just seeing them exploring their environment. It's really funny to watch them because they discovered that they could just about reach next door's garden plants that were poking through the fence, so they had a go at chewing those too. And just watching them kind of learn day by day how to be in this new world that's a bit of a shock to them, and to see them crying out for their mother, who's only really down the end of the field, and then the excitement when they work out where she is and they go running. Reminds me a bit of that story of the prodigal son, they just run to each other and are reunited. So it's been great to watch them, and I felt so sorry for them at the weekend because boy, it was cold here and it was snowing, and suddenly their world was a bit of a shock, and they were all huddled around the edges of the field trying to shelter. And of course the farmer comes 3 times a day, and he's so diligent and keeps an eye on them, and I had a chat with him too and asked how things were going, and so far so good. So that's all fantastic. And then I can see the birds through the window on the feeder, and of course they're all getting to the stage where they'll be pairing up, and I'm hoping they're going to use my nesting box. I'm so looking forward to if they do, because I've managed to see them fledge the box more than once in different locations, and that's just something that cannot be described really. It's a wonderful thing and a reminder of new life, and as we step into the Easter season, that reminder of new life, isn't it? So fantastic. We've been going out on our permitted daily walks, and I know for some of you that's not even an option, so I'm not saying this to make you jealous. I'm just really trying to catch up with you and let you know what we're doing. So yes, we go out on our daily walks, and that varies in length depending on the weather and how cold it is, etc., and how much of these recordings I'm doing, and that's made a big difference, I think. Certainly helping to have a bit of fresh air. And some of the joys of going out and walking around Leyburn, and it is really like a ghost town, which feels very strange, is that I sometimes see congregation members and I can wave at them, and yesterday I saw a lady through her window and we waved and blew kisses to one another, and hopefully that made a difference to her, and it cheered me up too. So yes, and my neighbour across the road here, he was out gardening, and I haven't seen him since the lockdown, and I was worried because he's on his own, and just shouted across the road, was he okay? Yes, and he was, and that's really nice to hear his voice and see his face, and just to share in those few moments. Some of you know that it will be almost 4 years ago now I picked up the saxophone and taught myself to play it, having wanted to play it for years and years and years. And so when I was on sabbatical, I made that effort. And I'm self-taught, and I had to teach myself to read music first, so it was a long journey, but I've loved it, and I really enjoy playing it for my own enjoyment. And I've got better over the time. I don't think I'm ever going to be performing on the stage at the Albert Hall or anywhere, but yeah, I can play a half-decent tune. And I was out in the garden last week on my day off. It was a beautiful day and the sun was shining. I thought I'll play it outside, so I set it up, and unaware that my neighbour was on his roof attending to something that needed attending to, and I didn't know. And when I took a break to turn the pages to find the next tune, he peered around the side of the house and said, "Oh, Melanie, I'm really enjoying that. That's making my job so much easier." And he wanted to know how long I'd been playing, etc. And so I don't know whether he was just being polite, but anyway, I carried on playing and he didn't complain, which was a good thing. But it is nice, isn't it, sometimes to have those conversations, and I shall keep playing my saxophone just to keep me sane, I think, and have those moments that I enjoy. And there's many other things that I know you're all doing, and I'm sure you're keeping in contact with your family and your friends, and perhaps reading your Bible every day and exploring new things. Sometimes where our lives are so busy, aren't they, that we don't get to do the things that we would really want to do. So here's an opportunity, really, and like that scripture says, let's consider it all joy. You know, it is testing, and I know that for some of you that have phoned me, particularly those that I've known for a long time, who are on complete lockdown, who are not going out at all for various reasons, this can appear to be a long haul, especially if you live on your own. So do keep phoning, that's okay, and email me too, and I am interested in how you are and what you're doing. And it is an opportunity daily to spend those times perhaps reading the bits of the Bible maybe that we've never really read properly, or we don't actually hear preached on. It always amazes me that somehow we seem to hear the same passages, don't we, round and round and round. But there are some wonderful passages in the Bible that maybe just need our little care and attention. And of course next week we will be stepping into Holy Week, and lots of times there to reflect on what that entailed. And I will do my best to do some reflections for us on Holy Week and help us to try and make sense of that together if I can. I'm not sure how many of you are daring to step into the Bible studies. Hopefully they're not too scary, and I will finish the one that I've posted. I will put part 3 and part 4 on as soon as I can, and maybe also if you feel that it's of value, a little bit later I'll add another one. And we were supposed to be doing Bible month on Ruth, the Old Testament book of Ruth, and I had intended to do that at Gale in August, and indeed that may still happen, but I may do that Bible study too in a few weeks' time and offer that if you wish to take part in it. But this is really just me turning up on your doorstep and saying hi, and how is it all going at the moment, and are you managing to find a joy in each day? And it's okay if you have those days where it feels a drag. That's okay too. God perfectly understands that some days are not as good as others. But as long as we are looking after ourselves, making sure we are fed, both bodily and spiritually, of course, then I'm sure we'll all be okay. So I'm going to wish you well, wish God's blessing upon you. Thank you for your time and for your kind invitation of welcoming me into your home today. And we will continue to make the best of this testing time, and we will come out the other end, I have no doubt, better people. So God bless you.